Hello and welcome to That Shero Life podcast. I am Burnett Sherman, your host and the creator of That Shero Life, helping women show up as sheros in their lives with more wellness, joy, and love. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. As you can see, I have a live guest for this very special episode. This is the episode that's coming out right before Mother's Day. So guess who I have here today?
Mom.
Yes, this is Rebecca Washington. She is my mom. And I wanted to talk to her today because obviously she had a huge impact in my life. She's the reason I'm sitting here today. So thank you for joining me, Mom. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
So-
I feel privileged.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. In my book, she is the original queen and shero. And I will definitely have to tell a story that sets that up. I didn't tell her I was going to tell that story. So just to give you a little bit about my mom, she is retired and she is the mom of three. I've got an older brother and a younger brother, and I'm the girl in the middle. So I had a unique place, even though I was a middle child. And my mom, she was the baby of her family.
Yes.
Yes. And, grew up in the South, but raised us mostly in the North.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to talk to you because I think you did a great job. I think you did a great job of raising us. And I know there are other parents out there, mothers, who might benefit from just hearing kind of what some of your philosophies were, what some of your goals were, what you were trying to do with raising us. Because you did it as a single mother, and we turned out pretty good. And people need to know that is possible. That is
Yes,
possible.
it is possible.
So,
It's possible with a lot of sacrifice and a lot of sacrifice.
well, you hear that, a lot of sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I remember you doing things as a child, like when you sang in the band and in the choir, and
Yeah.
those things stick out to me like, wow, my mom was very talented. And
Oh, really? That's funny.
why is it funny?
You thought I was very talented. I was doing things.
You were doing things and setting an example.
Well, thank you. I didn't realize I was setting an example. I was just trying to have some outlet, something for myself after trying to give so much to my children. I felt I needed to do something for myself. Yeah.
And you did it in a creative way.
Never thought of it.
Sometimes other people see you in ways that you can't see yourself. Yeah.
I guess.
She would be singing on stage with the band. I remember going to rehearsals with you.
You do?
Mhm. And you would sing and you would shake the maracas.
Yeah.
Singing, yes. And often the soloist in the church or doing solos,
Mm-hmm.
and you were up there on stage using your gifts.
Yeah, well, I guess I wasn't thinking of it that way. I want to use my gifts, so I was doing what I felt I had some abilities to do. I didn't feel like I was really using my gifts to the fullest potential because I wasn't like pursuing them. So I was just doing something that interests me.
But wasn't important because you said, you needed something for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of mothers who are raising children, whether it's single or married, finding something that's theirs
Mm-hmm.
is important.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Never thought of it.
Never thought of it.
As an example of.
No.
And then she wondered why I always did so much.
Is that life?
I mean, it's probably part of it.
Oh,
Yeah. You were doing things. I was like, you can do things. Women can do things. People can do things.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Wow.
Yes. You, as I said, you were my first, you were the shero. You were,
Wow.
she doesn't realize, like, you were there as a mother. You worked, you provided, but you were also like this example of being active, being involved. Like, you had friends, a lot of them went to our church, but you made sure that you had a social life, which I'm still trying to figure out. I really am. Um, but I'm much more of an introvert than you are. She's an extrovert.
I'm not an extrovert.
Maybe you used to be.
Maybe I used to be more of an extrovert, but I don't see myself as
Maybe
full out
compared to me.
compared to you. Yes, I am an extrovert. Yeah, I need friends.
Compared to me, you're an extrovert. Um, so parenting obviously was a big part of your life for
Right.
for a period of time.
Well, this is true. Raising my children was the biggest part of my life because I realized when I became a single parent that I could either pursue things just for myself or I could put my dreams, things I wanted to do on the back burner and put my children on the front burner to make sure that their lives would be good in the future.
Well, one, thank you. Thank you. Because I hear you say that, but I realize there are a lot of parents who, because they may have found themselves as single parents or doing it all on their own, there's a resistance and there's a struggle between still wanting to have their own life, still wanting to have that time and freedom to do what they want to do, but being responsible for the upbringing, care, nourishment of other young humans who are going to go into the world
Yeah,
one day and impact other people. And I like to say it like that, like you are raising people who are going to impact
very true,
other people.
very true. But I feel like it's been worth it. And then I did get to do some things along the way that interest me. Um, but I have no regrets. I believe that my children needed to have a good life because they only had one parent. I had two, but my children only had one. And I did not want them to slip through the cracks.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Because it would have been possible. And I'll say this, that you became a single mom in a generation where it was like the first generation where it was happening, where women were saying, I'm not going to stick around in a marriage that's not healthy, working,
Right.
that's not good, and that you have other options. And the generation before you didn't really
No, did
didn't
not
have
have that. Did not have that. Right. It was that first generation. So navigating single parenthood was something relatively new coming out of homes that had two parents. I didn't know what it should look like, what it would look like. I didn't know what I was going to face, but I knew I love my children and I wanted them to have good lives. The future was very important to me for them.
Mm. And I have to say, I, we have good lives.
Better than mine.
That's what you always wanted. You wanted to
That's
have.
what I always wanted my children's lives to be better than mine.
And I want you to talk about that because I remember you telling me once that granddad, your dad, said he wanted his children's lives
To be better than
than
his.
his.
This is true. And for that reason, my father died when he was 6 years old. And so he had to drop out of first grade
Mm.
to go to work at that time to help his mother. And so he never got an education. And because he never got an education, he always said all of his children would get an education. No matter how hard he had to work, they were not going to miss school. They were going to school, they were going to get that diploma. For his generation, it was the diploma,
A high school diploma.
high school
Yeah.
diploma. And so he made sure all his children got that. And I think almost all of them went to college. But that instilled something in me for my children. I said that all my children would go to college because from my generation, it was college. And I didn't, as a single parent, I didn't know how they were going.
But that we were.
But they were going.
That we
And,
were.
and I started programming you all when you were very young, when you go to college.
I remember you doing that too. I remember sitting in the car. When you go to college, what do you want to be, or what do you want to be when you grow up? And yeah, it was
But
when, it wasn't if.
Yeah, when you go to college. So it was being programmed that when you finish high school, you go to college.
Yeah, and that was the thing back then. I know things have changed some since then. College isn't necessarily in reach for everybody, but it's that what's next.
Mm-hmm.
When you finish this, what's next?
Yes.
What's next?
Yeah.
And we all did.
Yeah. Miraculously. I don't know how miraculously you did, because I did not have the money to send you to college, but
But we all went, we all
But-
finished.
yeah, the way was made. And
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that, because I know you remember doing it, but I also remember you doing this. You would spend a lot of time praying for us. And she would close the door and I would literally lay at the door waiting for her to be done. Because we weren't allowed to bother you when you were doing that. And I would sometimes lay outside the door. Yeah, waiting for you to
finish praying. Oh my goodness. Boy, that was a lot of waiting.
I was just laying there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's
But I
funny.
have a praying mother and I don't take it for granted. I believe that the energy you put out there for us came back. And
I believe so too, because I prayed for you all every day. Every day I prayed because I wanted you to have good lives. I wanted you to be successful. I also wanted you to be able to choose good friends, choose good mates. Pretty much everything I could think of for your lives, I was praying for you. And then now I think I should have prayed for myself.
added yourself in there.
I should have added myself in there. But I prayed those prayers over and over and over for you all every day.
Thank you, because even though we came from a single parent household, all three of us are married and have been married for double-digit years.
Mhm.
It'll be 19 years for me this year. My older brother's been married, well, with his partner for 30 years. More than 30 years with her.
Mark just turned 30,
He'll
yeah.
be 30 this month, or yeah, he'll have turned 30. And you know, the younger brother is teens,
17.
17 years, yeah. So
Yeah.
long-standing,
Those prayers paid off.
they did. Yes, and I think it's worth saying that even if you don't pray traditionally, send out
The energy of prayer
Yeah.
it does work.
works. So send up those
Because
requests,
I
those
think, yeah.
gratitudes.
There's power in the spoken word, and so even, you know, my prayers may not be as someone else's prayers might be, but there's power in the spoken word in sending out a declaration of what you want to happen
And repeatedly.
repeatedly.
Considering she says she prayed for us every day. It was the constant. They could have not, no one up there could ignore them at all. It could not be ignored. She's back again.
I think I did that because being a single parent, I so did not want you all to I hate to say end up with a life like what I was providing for you. I wanted it to be better. And whatever was intended for you, I wanted that to come. I didn't want you to miss it. Like I felt like I had missed it. And I know I couldn't go back and change my past to recreate anything. So my hope was that you all would have what I did not have.
I think
Yeah.
you did that.
Yeah.
So if you had a goal, you reached it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel real good about it too.
You should.
I
You
do.
should.
I feel real good. At this point, I may not have done the things in life that I came in with abilities and talents to do. But with what I had, I think I did very well with, because I look at my children now, and the success of their lives is my success.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think that's important because we would not be where we are had we not had some of the lessons that you instilled in us. And, you know, even if it was you just saying, you knowing that you wanted us to have a better life. And some of the things that you did, said, that's, you know, will stick in your head as momisms or, but
Yeah.
even in the environment that when we were living in Gateway.
Gateway housing project.
Yeah, when we were living in Gateway. And you would used to say, just because you live in the ghetto, doesn't mean the ghetto has to live in you. Anytime we wanted to do something other kids were doing that wasn't and not up to standard, we would hear, just because you live in the ghetto, doesn't mean the ghetto has to live in you. So where you are and who you are don't always have to be the same
Right.
at that moment.
This is true. You have to set a standard, no matter where you are. Because you could be, I mean, you were living in the ghetto, but you could have been living in a different kind of neighborhood and become the worst people ever in the world.
You could, yeah.
It happens.
That is very true. Yeah.
So you have to set a standard for your life, and I think you have to decide, you know, what you want for your future. You can't just live to. It's okay to live to have fun today, but that's not all there is to life. You have to live kind of looking forward when you have something to look forward to.
Yes.
You have a future to look forward to. You got to kind of think about that and plan it.
You do. And I remember you having us do that. Think about the future and write down a list of anything we had to consider. Write down a list of, you know, the benefits or the good things that could happen and the bad things that could happen. But that kind of stuff is practical and you were kind of like the very first life coach I ever had, like as a mom, who made you go back and think about things and how things were gonna happen and unfold, how things were gonna work out if you take this further.
I think I did a lot of that because I did not have it done for me. And I thought about how much different my life could have been had I had that kind of guidance. So one of the things I was trying to do is give my children the things that I did not have myself.
How did you figure out what?
Well, there was so much I didn't get until I thought there's got to be a way to make it better. So I don't know. I think some of the prayers may have helped. Looking at other people whose lives were successful helped. Looking at people whose lives were not successful helped. I had to learn wherever I could find the lesson.
Yeah, I think looking at not successful and successful can help, because you can say, what do you want to avoid?
Exactly.
And what do you want to emulate? What do you want to kind of use as a model?
And a lot of thinking about, well, how did those people get there? What did they have to do? And just thinking of constantly thinking about life. What can you make, what can you do different to be different, or to have something different? So you look at yourself and what you have, and well, so you know that didn't work, and this isn't working, and so if what you have isn't working, and you look at what you have, then you can kind of formulate, oh, okay, so this isn't working, so maybe something else. What else is working?
And try something else.
And try something different, because you can't do the same thing and have something different.
Right, right. Back when I was 10, we moved from Rochester to South Carolina. And you went back to school. I want to talk about that because you were raising 3 kids and moved back
This is
to
true.
South Carolina and went back to school.
Well, I moved back, the first reason I moved back to South Carolina was because I had family there. And I was hoping, as you all were getting older, that I could have you around more males in the family to have that input, to be closer to family, just to kind of help me with guidance. Well, that went out the window. I thought, that's not working.
You figured out that wasn't working.
I figured out that wasn't working. But while I was there, I did get a job. I did go to school, and I went back to school because I felt like I could use a higher degree than what I had. I had only gotten a diploma, a business degree diploma from a technical college, and I decided to go back and get an associate degree. I probably should have thought, well, maybe I should just go and get my college degree, but I didn't want to take too much from you all. And I thought it might have cost too much, not cost me money, but might cost the raising of my children too much. So I went back for a shorter time to get something for myself, but not to sacrifice too much for you all. So that's why I went back and got that associate degree. But after that, we moved to Pittsburgh because there was no work, no real family input, and life wasn't really what I was hoping it would be there for you all.
Pittsburgh was a good move.
That was a move. That was a good move.
Yeah, it was a good move. I think that probably changed the trajectory of what we thought was possible, I would say.
Right. Right, because you got to see some things, experience some things that were in a life that you would have never experienced or seen.
Either in
Yeah.
Rochester where we were or
Mhm.
in South Carolina.
Yeah, it opened you up to a whole new
Yeah,
dynamic in life.
absolutely. Absolutely. But it took, and I think it took being a bit of a risk taker, willing to step out kind of sometimes and be the path and do something different. Be brave enough to say, you know what, this isn't working. Because a lot of people, something's not working, they just keep going on the same path. It's not working. And they know it's not working, but they're not brave enough, or they're not certain enough to say, I'm just going to try something else. I'm going to try this other path. But you did that.
Well, you know what? Since you said that, I believe I was more of a risk taker then than I am now. I did take, I did take risks. I took risks.
You beat some, unconventional paths.
Yes. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a good one. That was a good one. But I do believe that praying for you as my children helped me, even though taking risks, being guided in those risks. I really believe that that played a part.
I can see that, yeah. They weren't just like wild risk of not thought out, not calculated, not inspired.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe that it created openings for me to, pathways for me to go through.
So you may remember, and I think I talked to you about this the other day, mentioned it the other day. One of my earliest heroic memories of you, I was about 5 years old, and we were getting in the car for you to probably take us to daycare or at school, and you go to work. And I can remember being on the sidewalk still, and my younger brother was in the car. You were trying to get him, I guess, situated in his car seat or buckled in, and your purse was on the car. Well, we didn't always live in the best neighborhood, someone came, grabbed my mother's purse from the car and starts running. The next thing I know, my mom is chasing him down the sidewalk. If you remember that scene with Rain Brothers from White Chicks, just imagine that. Just chasing, and I'm kind of just like in awe as she's chasing down him and gaining ground, and he's looking back like, oh my God, this woman's really chasing me. But I couldn't see she ran so much that they had to turn the corner. Next thing I know, another neighbor is kind of running behind her, running after him. She doesn't even know that she's like, someone else is like,
I didn't, not until you
coming to help. She comes back with her purse. But that was the moment I knew I had the shero for a mom. I knew it.
I couldn't let him get away. I was a single parent. I'm already under stress by being a single parent. I have 3 small children I've got to take care of. You cannot, no.
Can't take the purse.
No. I'm not going through that, no. He didn't know I could run.
Right. He probably assumed, yeah, I know. And she was fast. She got him. I guess it's where we all got our speed from. Was from you. Yeah. But you had moments like that when I saw you standing up and being courageous.
I guess I had to. I was the only thing that you all had.
Mhm.
So I had to be many things
You did.
to you because I was it for you.
You were, and you did a lot. I just think about, my goodness, I had her driving everywhere when I was in high school because I was so involved with things. I was like, goodness gracious.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, wow, yeah. So I look back, I'm like, okay, so when my kids need me to take them somewhere, it's like, yeah, it's just what you do.
And you don't have to go anywhere near as much as I did with you, so.
I don't know, well, maybe not.
You know, it was always, what is she into now? What?
Pretty much, yeah.
Constant.
But, yeah, there's no but. That's how it was.
We
That's
did
how
it.
it was.
We did it. But, you know, I was all you had, so
Right.
what were we going to do?
We did the best that we could. So given all this, like, how do you feel? Because you raised us, we turned out good.
Yeah, I feel really proud of all three of you and the lives you have, the things that you do, what you give back, and the ways that you know, different ways that you all give back. But I feel really good about that. And I don't, a lot of it I don't remember. You all have to tell me because I was so busy just doing, I don't remember.
You didn't have the mental space to
No.
hold on to all the stuff you were doing.
But I don't think I wouldn't change anything. I, sometimes I think maybe I miss some things and I think, oh, maybe I should have put in more love and giving you more love or more hugs but aside from some of the things that I think I could have given you, I am very happy that I was able to give you what I did. I was trying to give you what I did not have. And in so doing, you have what I did not have. But I feel really good about what you have and where you are. And I am happy. I wouldn't change anything.
And I think we learned a lot. And it's part of growth from generation to generation is taking what you have, making the most of it, and then trying to do better for the next generation. Just like your father did with you, you did with us. What we're trying to do with our children is what's the next thing, and constantly trying to elevate our families, our generations.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because my father came from nothing. And he came from nothing and he gave us so much more than what he had.
Mhm.
I wanted that for my children. There are many things I was not able to give you, but I still was able to give you some things that I did not have.
You gave us a lot. And you planted seeds, I believe, also for what you didn't have. You planted seeds sometimes for those things that you couldn't give, but there were seeds. And you exposed us to things and other people. And sometimes it was through the people who we had relationships with in our church, but just seeing other ways
Of living.
of living. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, okay, these are also options.
Right, right.
Yeah.
They were options.
Yeah.
They were options.
These are ways that other people are doing things and other people are living, and that there's more than one way. And I think that comes with just exposure and not being afraid to expose your children to other ways of doing things that are positive, not just everything that are positive.
That's very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
We did not go hang around drug addicts so you can see, this is what you don't want to do. No, we didn't do that.
But positive examples and role models,
Mhm.
and also expectations. There was a lot of expectation setting.
Was there?
It's a lot of expectation setting. Sometimes I probably still have a little bit of a perfectionist from that, but trying to do things at a certain standard. You used to always say, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all.
Did I?
Did I? Did you? Yeah. But yeah, I've learned that there's some things you're not going to be able to do perfectly. But there's an effort, there's something that goes into trying to do it right that's going to make it better. So even if you don't land at perfection, you land at better than if you didn't care, than if you weren't even trying to do it right.
This is very true. This is very true.
Yeah.
You gotta shoot for it, even if you don't make it, aim for it.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, if I didn't aim, I don't know where I'd wind up. But
Nowhere.
yeah, or somewhere you don't really want to be. Somewhere you don't want to be.
Yeah.
But aim for it and try to do it right.
Mhm.
So in your own life, Mom, what do you think about your journey, where you are right now?
I'm happy. I'm happy. I wouldn't change anything. I'm happy with my family, and my family means more to me than I think anything else in this world.
I believe that. Yeah.
They do. My family means more to me than anything. And I'm happy for where they are. And I feel this is gonna sound funny, but I feel successful because of the success of my children. And I think I would have not felt this way had I just been successful myself and reached all of my goals and find my children struggling.
Mhm.
So when I look at my generation, many of my friends and peers were within themselves more successful than I was. But I look at their children struggling and I hear their regrets,
Mhm.
and I don't have that. So I feel really good. I feel successful because my family's successful.
I love it. I love it. Oh, wow.
I do. I feel good.
You should. I'm honored that I got to come to this earth through you. That you gave me the opportunity to have this life and to create something from what we had. And for all of your prayers that you prayed, not just for me, but I know that you pray for your grandchildren.
I do.
And that you continue that. And so thank you for that. You talk about a praying grandmother, well, that's what she is. And so yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me, Mom.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored
Thank you.
to do this.
This is special. This is a different kind of episode, Mother's Day special episode with my mother, Rebecca Washington, who continues to give in her ways. And we didn't talk about it. She continues to give, continues to share her light, continues to do the things that, help others. And, I'll hear her on the phone, she's always, someone's calling her for something. But you continue to do that. And I think it's important because even as you've raised your children, you've worked and you've retired and you have a different kind of freedom and time, how you choose to still continue to support other people's growth. And I think that's a special thing in and of itself. Sometimes it's not about our own, what we personally achieve, but sometimes there are people who are there to help others and lift others up. And I think you are one of those people who lift others up on this planet.
Well, I feel good about that. I feel like that may be one of my purposes for being here. Not to become famous, which I could care less about. And I guess I probably could care less about being overly rich, because I think it's loving people, helping people, and just sharing life with people and helping people. It's what makes me happy, makes me feel good, makes me feel fulfilled and successful. And yeah.
And you can see it in other people's lives. You can see
Mhm.
the outcome in other people's lives. And know
Yeah.
you were part of that.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I mean, you are part of this.
It makes me feel really good. I wouldn't change a thing.
Good.
I would not change anything.
Just don't, because then we may not be where we are. We may not have the lives we have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing either.
No, wouldn't change a thing.
So any final words of wisdom that you would want to speak to someone who's single or partnered raising children today?
Well, not that I have so many words of wisdom, because I don't feel like I do. But I think the love is very important. It is probably the most important thing to me. And I don't think it matters what you do, but if you do it with love, it'll end up being right. It'll end up being good. It'll end up helping and not hurting. And raising children, if you do it out of love and not out of obligation, not out of I have to and I'm tired, but do it because you love. It makes a difference in what you give.
I would agree. I would agree. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, again, I am Burnett Sherman, and I've been pleased and honored to spend some time with my mom, Rebecca Washington, here. Do you want to share any way for people to contact you, or do you just want to?
Well, probably not.
Okay. You know.
I get a lot of phone calls already, so.
But yeah.
However, if you'd like to contact me, you can send Burnett a note.
Okay. You all know how to reach me. Well, that's fair. That's fair. But if you do, want to, then yes, you can feel free to message me if you have a question or want to know more about mom here. Otherwise, I want to say thank you and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, would-be mothers, and may it be a wonderful day for you. Thank you so much for joining me on that Shero Life podcast, and I'll see you again on Thursday of next week. Thanks.
Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye.